What is going on there, YouTube? And welcome back to another comic book video. This is the channel where we sit down and cover different comic book stories from different comic book companies. This time, we're going to jump back over to DC Comics and continue our coverage over DC New Frontier. We're going to pick back up with issue number 4, and in this one, it is more of putting heroes in new positions in their lives. It is them trying to understand how to handle these new situations. At the same time, some characters will quit being a hero. So if you like today's comic book video, please leave me a like down below and also subscribe to the channel for more content to come like this in the near future. Also, if you have any suggestions on books I should read, please let me know in the comments below, because you never know, your suggestion could be a future video down the road. But I do hope you enjoy today's video. Open and go with this issue, we pick up in Central City with, of course, everybody's favorite Scarlet Speedster, the Flash, where we learn that apparently Gorilla Grodd is attacking the city, and so you have the Flash going in town to stop him. But when he gets there, he comes to find out that it was a robot, that this was a trap, and this is reminding us that in this world, if you are not working for the American government, basically being a vigilante, the public hates you and you are an outlaw. But the person who is leading this plan of capturing the Flash is King Faraday, and we met him in our last video. He is in charge of putting together a rocket to send a team to Mars because he knows that Martian the Manhunter is on Earth. But getting back to the main point of this section, this is Flash knowing that the government wants to capture him and make him their property, and so he leaves. But skipping into Central City, we pick up with Hal Jordan and Carol Ferris, reminding us that they are now dating even though she is his boss. And they are at an auto show and meeting up with Ace Morgan and June Robbins, because remember that Ace Morgan and Hal Jordan are best friends. This is also Ace Morgan introducing June Robbins as the newest member to the Challengers of the Unknown team, this small team of heroes. Now we get to focus on Martian the Manhunter, who is still pretending to be John Jones in Gotham City as a detective. But we learn that while being on Earth, he has been collecting newspapers reports about UFO sightings and John Henry, who is out fighting against racism in Tennessee, where Martian Manhunter actually likes John Henry for doing the right thing. But then you have his fellow police officers say they have a crazy guy that needs to be interrogated because he shot a police officer and kidnapped his mother. This man's name is Harry Litter. This continues on with Martian the Manhunter using his ability to read minds to learn that Harry Litter works for Carol Ferris Aircraft Base, the same place where Hal Jordan works at. Where we know that at that place, the American government knows that Martian the Manhunter is on Earth. Also, they are planning to fly to Mars to see if they can deal with the Martians. But see, Harry Litter shot that police officer and kidnapped his mom because learning that freaked him out. Now, this conversation is stopped by, of course, King Faraday. With King Faraday showing up, this means he is here to make sure that Harry Litter does not spill any government secret about the government knowing that Martian the Manhunter is here on Earth. Also them trying to go to Mars to deal with the Martian problem. With Faraday being here, this also means he gets to meet with Martian the Manhunter, and Martian does use his powers to gather more proof that everything Harry was saying is true. The American government knows that Martian the Manhunter is here on Earth. But picking up with Hal, Richard Flagg, and the rest of Task Force X, we see them in a rocket simulation, them just practicing for anything to come while being in space. The problem is that Hal shows off in this simulation. which leads to them failing. And so with that happening, Richard Flagg had enough of Hal Jordan and told him he is off this mission now. Which of course you have Richard Flagg and Carol Ferris arguing about the status of Hal Jordan being on the mission, where Carol Ferris tries to state that because this is her base, she can make the call and have him stay on the team. Except Richard Flagg reminds her she can't really make that call since this is an American government mission, meaning that it's a no for one, but also that now Carol Ferris is mad at Hal for his actions. Now we get to pick up with John Henry. Remember, in the last video and earlier in this video, we talked about how John Henry lost his family thanks to the KKK, and he became a vigilante to fight against racism. Well, his career as a vigilante is short-lived, because we learn by this point he was shot and tried to hide in a nearby town, since there was a group of KKK trying to kill him off. Except when he runs into a random person's backyard, a small girl greets him. He thinks with her being a child, she will help to hide him, except she doesn't, and calls over the KKK group so they can kill him off. And there is a page I'm going to skip basically because of some language in this book. Now, John Henry's death reaches national news, where on a show called The Big Picture, his death was used to show how America is a hypocrite country, where America is so worried about other countries and their internal racial or government issues that America can't see that they have their own internal racial or government issues. This show is being played across the nation, so people of Metropolis, Philadelphia, and even Gotham City, where John Jones, aka the Martian the Manhunter, saw the show. With Martian the Manhunter seeing the show about the person he had respect for, John Henry, it makes him realize that with him being a Martian, he can never show the world his true form. Picking up on Paradise Island, the home of the Amazons, we pick up with Superman going there to meet up with Wonder Woman, where we learn that she stopped working for the American government, and Superman does not understand why, where she explains that she was forced out because of her ideals, that the country they fought for together is no longer around, meaning that the country ideals have changed into something she can't fight for anymore. She even tells Superman that they need an idol. He needs to use his powers to be a role model for the people to look up to, not people in the government office. Then she flies away. This idea of America being a hypocrite country is shown even more when we get to Martian the Manhunter thinking about what happened to John Henry and what he should do now. But while watching the news, that is when the Flash appears on TV and talks about how he decided to use his powers to help people and protect the world from evil things, except he has been labeled as an outlaw, and talks about the American government trying to capture him, stating that he is at the point where he is officially retiring being a hero. With the Flash quitting, it basically gives Martian the Manhunter the idea that he needs to try to get back home. But before he can go back home, he has to pass everything he learned about the cult, the Center, to Batman. Remember, they agreed to work together. Well, more really Batman forcing him to help. But at the end of our last book, Martian the Manhunter learned that for one, something evil is coming to Earth, but also the book holds tons of stories throughout time. And so you have Martian the Manhunter go to the rooftop of the GCPD to tell Batman that he can find everything he needs at his apartment about the center. But Batman tells this person to meet him next Tuesday because apparently he figures something out about the book. Then we proceed to the big day, where we see that Task Force X is about to begin the launch of their rocket into space and hoping to land on Mars. But before they fly off, you have Hal apologizing to Richard Flagg about showing off earlier, and Richard Flagg accepts his apology, but this is important for a moment later on in the book. So after that, you have everyone get on the rocket, and we learn that the rest of the world thinks that this is just America doing a missile test, not actually trying to send people into space. But while getting ready for launch, Faraday sees Martian the Manhunter on the monitor trying to sneak onto the rocket, hoping to get a free trip back home. And so you have Faraday actually go down to deal with Martian the Manhunter. Now when he does confront him, Martian the Manhunter mentions that he knows that he can easily deal with Faraday and get on the rocket, except the rocket is about to fly off, and the blast of the rocket could kill them both. And so right when the rocket blasts off, you have him being able to save Faraday, but now Martian the Manhunter is stuck on Earth once again. After doing that, 30 hours have passed where Martian the Manhunter wakes up in a cell where he is greeted by Faraday. At first, this may seem like the moment where Faraday might say some hurtful things about Martian the Manhunter. In reality, it is more of Faraday asking why Martian the Manhunter saved him, and Martian the Manhunter states that he could not let someone die when he had the ability to save them. Also, he can tell deep down that Faraday is a good person and has hope for the human race. But then you have Faraday go back to the monitor room, where he learns that the rocket is malfunctioning, meaning that basically this could be the death of Richard Flagg and the Suicide Squad. And so with that being said, you have everybody trying to figure out what they can do to save the rocket and save Task Force X, who is on the rocket. But there is some kind of special cargo on the rocket. Before we can see them try to figure out what to do with the special cargo, you have Richard Flagg give us a heartfelt moment with him talking to Hal through the comms, where he talks about how he fought alongside Hal Jordan's father in World War II. While in the war, Hal's father was the only one to have a family on the squad, and so the squad agreed to make sure to help protect him so he could see his family. Of course, he died, but then Richard Flagg mentions how he wanted to make sure to keep Hal alive, and that was another reason why he was not allowed to be on the mission, knowing this mission could be the death of everyone on the rocket. But then Hal gets a call through his comm. It is Ace Morgan and the Challengers of the Unknown saying that they're going to try to save the rocket in space. This proceeds into Ace Morgan talking about going to the rocket and trying to save everyone on the rocket. The problem is that the special cargo has a mixture of weapons and bombs that were going to be used to kill off the Martians on Mars. So if the bombs go off, it can pollute the air, killing people off on Earth. Of course, this leads into Faraday calling the only hero they have working for the government now, which of course is Superman. Now this is the mess up moment of the book, because you have two members of the Challengers of the Unknown trying their best to help out with the rocket, making sure the rocket does not explode. Of course, Richard Flagg realizes that he needs to go ahead and let the bomb explode now before it can affect the Earth. This is where we learn one thing for sure, that Richard Flagg and Karen were a couple. They love each other a lot, and they died together as they let the bomb explode. But Superman was able to save the Challengers of the Unknown team before they were killed off by the bomb. But sadly, Richard Flagg and Karen are now dead. So with the failure of the mission to go to Mars to hopefully kill off the Martians, Also the death of Richard Flagg and other members of Task Force X, everyone is kind of sad about it. And so you have Hal spend some time with the rocket simulator, where he thinks he will never be able to go to space. But that is when there's an explosion and we see a green light, and that light takes Hal away. We know he is gone by Carol Ferris going down to the sub-level where Hal was at to find out that he is missing. And this is where we're going to end today's video. So please leave me a like down below and also subscribe to the channel for more content to come in the near future. Also, any suggestions on books I should read, well, please let me know in the comments below, because you never know, your suggestion could be a future video down the road. But I'll see y'all next time. Later.